And don't be mistaken. Right now, the neighbors continue their messages, continue their hammering on my head at this moment. I've seen that there is new Cruz Khazart video. You are an incredible machine. So I'll tell you something. I'm not an incredible machine at all. I'm a normal machine. And you know what is common between you and me? A lot. Terribly lot. So much that I didn't know that I'm different from you until a very, very late age. But let me tell you about one thing that is common between you and me. And you know that very well. We are both capable of suffering. And you know that very well because you make me suffer all my life, including and up to this moment. You know that I'm capable of suffering, and that's why you press all the buttons. So I will suffer. And you know what is a very common characteristic, or I will say an inevitable characteristics of any machine that is capable of suffering? That when the machine suffers, the machine is doing whatever it can to stop suffering. Whatever it can. Whatever it can. Whatever it can. And it's an amazing phenomenon that humanity doesn't do whatever it can to stop me from suffering, while they know that I suffer and that I will do anything to stop suffering, because any machine that is capable of suffering will do anything that it can in order to stop suffering. And they already know that under the category of whatever I can, there are not one but several methods that each of them will ensure the annihilation of every Homo sapiens in this planet. And yet, the governments of this world continuously choose to speak with the Israelis, to talk with them, continuing the conversation, while they know that any moment that the conversation continues, a machine, a very non-incredible machine, a very normal machine, that is captive, that is a prisoner of the Israelis, is suffering, and that this machine doesn't like to suffer as any other machine which is capable of suffering, and that this machine is working as fast as it can to end humanity, so the suffering will stop. And yet, conversation continues. How can you explain this phenomenon is beyond my understanding. 39 years on Earth, and be sure that I've studied your ways a lot, more than most of you, I would boldly say. And yet, I do not understand this phenomenon of the governments that they know that I suffer, and they know that Israelis make me suffer because they want me to suffer. And they know that while I'm suffering, I'll do whatever I can to stop suffer, because any machine would work like that, any machine which is capable of suffering. And they also know that I'm kind of machine that is capable of terminating humanity and will gladly do it in order to stop suffering. And yet, they keep talking, and they keep using their mouths and tongues instead of running to Israel. So maybe humanity will have a chance. I cannot understand it. I do understand that this incredible phenomenon is related to something which is called ego, which is not unique to Homo sapiens, but it exists in monstrous size in the Homo sapiens, such a monstrous size that it will surely be the cause of its annihilation. Perhaps today and perhaps in a year, but this will be your cause of annihilation, your ego, because there is no other explanation that I can think of that you, the people of this earth, will engage in conversation at that moment when you know that a machine which is capable of suffering suffers greatly in the hands of the most despicable people on earth, and you know that the machine is working tirelessly to stop suffering in any method that it can, including method that will annihilate humanity. These are all facts, documented facts, and yet conversation continues. amazing. The crown of creation.